Welcome to the Tangles and Toons channel, where we're continuing with Day 7 of Inktober 2025 Zentangle edition. So today we're going to be adding Tangle number 7 to our composition, our layout here, and that tangle is called Rambles, and it's by Zentangle Inc, and we're going to show you how to draw that and add that to your page as well. You ready to go, Gayle?
Ready.
All right, let's take at it then.
All right.
The Rambles tangle is a ribbon tangle, and it's designed to have a flowing appearance, and we're going to utilize that and capitalize on that here in our composition. I'm going to have it flowing down across behind my star right and off the page. It'll hopefully add a little bit of symmetry to that directional thing, one going off up here, one going off there. So what we're doing is we're creating a line that snakes across the area that we've chosen. And once we like the layout of that line, basically what we can do is add some dimension to this ribbon by just drawing some lines along these edges that will help it take on that ribbon shape. Now, if you've doodled in the past, or maybe you've even done this particular tangle, you know that it's not that difficult to do. And you can also, if you want to, if you're mindful of it while you're drawing it, you can have it be a little smaller or narrower as it's further away and wider as it gets close to you. That'll give the appearance of it moving toward the viewer of your art. Or if you just want to keep it consistent, it's just a piece of ribbon that's laid through your drawing in whatever fashion you choose. So there's no right or wrong to that. But by adding the perspective, smaller back away, larger up close, you'll be able to create that effect of moving toward you. And then keeping it consistent would just make it look like it's all right there laying on the page. So what I'm going to do, and you might want to do the same, is I'm going to lightly sketch it, the flowing ribbon piece of it, with my pencil so I can get a nice placement and make any adjustments that I need to. So I'm going to assume that this is coming around here, it's going through, comes around. Just like that. Now, I know you can't see that, but you'll be able to see on your paper. I've drawn my pencil line there so that I could see if that placement was going to be satisfying for me, and I think it's about as good as I can make it. So I'm going to just ink that line in now, and you'll be able to see exactly where I went with it. So I'm bringing it out from behind my nameplate, and then it goes back again, comes out. It's going to snake in behind my pattern here and kind of come out right around here somewhere. And zipping around there. And this will create a layering effect as well, of course. Just like that. So now all I need to do is create some of these edges as it snakes around behind. And this one has disappeared over here somewhere, so I'm going to bring that around like that. It's going to come up to here. So now I've got a ribbon snaking around behind there and kind of turning and bending and twisting as it goes. Now, as far as embellishments for this, we can make either like double-edged outside. We could aura these outer lines and just follow them around. We can add little items in the center here. We could do items on the edges, or all the above. So it really depends just how ornate you want this ribbon to be. Now, in my case, I think I'm going to do a combination of things. I'm going to add just the tiniest bit of ornaments on this outside, just a nice little squiggle like we did on one of our other shapes up here on my Toodles. Same kind of thing, just a simple, easy to use ornamentation that I can bring around here. Whoops, now I got myself going in the wrong direction there. There we go. This will just give a little more details that we can add to this ribbon, and I want to do it on both sides, of course, just to keep some kind of a consistent flow there. There really are, with tangles like this, so many ways that they can be embellished and tweaked. And I often, when I'm doing a video like this, I like to just keep the basics here so that we can get through the process without overwhelming the viewer and without creating a 3-hour video where we're adding hundreds of details. But you can, in your own time, add as many or as few ornaments and details as you'd like. It just helps to fill up space and gives you the opportunity to customize your own drawing however you'd like. So now that I have all those little doodads hanging on the edges of my ribbon, I want to do a little something on the inside as well, but this will be easier. I'm going to just create some little, like, I don't know if you want to think of them as holes in the ribbon or if you want to think of them as little buttons or snaps or something. But I'm going to put those on here, and I'm going to round the bottom a little bit more than the top when I can. These are kind of far away in my vision, so it's hard to see that. But each step I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. As the ribbon gets closer to me, I'm going to see these a little bit more easily. And by darkening the bottom, it gives it just a hint of dimension. Like maybe there's a tiny shadow. This is a raised little button or snap or something, and it's just creating a tiny shadow on this ribbon, and that just might help with a more interesting version of what might otherwise just be flat. Well, now that that pattern is basically laid out, we can add our graphite and our shading here. So I'm going to grab my pencil, and I'm going to do anywhere there's an overlap with my nameplate. I want to get that information processed visually with a little shadow there. And then anywhere on my ribbon that sort of goes behind a curve or behind itself, there's going to be a shadow there. I'm not going to be able to see back in there very well. So I'm going to make sure I've added some shading to those corners, so to speak, those bends that we can blend out. Now, some of you may have wondered and thought about, well, how are we trying to keep our shadows and our lighting and all that consistent throughout the entire composition? Well, we certainly could do that. I have chosen in these sessions not to focus on that, but to treat each pattern individually. It's very complex to, or can be very complex, to obey light sourcing guidelines or drawing rules, if you will, when you're adding so many diverse shapes and so on. Now, obviously, it can be done. That's how people draw complex pieces of art, is they're able to be mindful of that throughout. I just didn't want that to become a burden for us here in this. Zentangle, by its nature, it's not less sophisticated. It's not less detailed or anything like that. I don't mean to undermine or belittle Zentangle, but it is a type of art form that's meant to be approachable. And though I point out little things here and there that hopefully help not only your Zentangle, but all of your art, they're not rules to be obeyed, so to speak. If we start naming, well, you got to have this, and it has to look like that, and all the light shadows must be cast the same way, and if we do all of that sort of thing, it takes away the approachability and the joy of drawing like this. We want to be able to just sit down without being a master of all forms of art and draw patterns and draw shapes and draw lines and shade them and give them a dimensional appearance, but not necessarily worrying about all of that. With a composition we hope is pleasing, we hope that it is cohesive when it's all said and done, but ultimately we are here to draw these patterns and to have a good time with our art practice. So with that said, don't get too nervous about that. There will be other kinds of drawings, and I've been doing art for many years, and there are other kinds of art where that sort of light source and keeping consistency among the different elements in a composition are absolutely critical to pull off a convincing drawing. I mean, if I have a guy standing next to a building and the light from the building is going this way and the light from the guy is going that way, it obviously the eye doesn't make sense of that. The brain looks at that and says something's wrong there. It doesn't compute. So we do want to be mindful of that in certain kinds of art. But for Zentangle, just have fun, make your composition, and enjoy the process. I repeat that a lot, but it's really important. And here I'm just blending all this graphite. I have my overlaps behind my starlight shape. So that area is going to get largely covered because I want to give that clear indication that it's on top of this ribbon. So there's some shadow going on there. That's about as detailed as we need to worry about in most Zentangle work. So we have that. Now if we want, we could add just that hint of shadow to these little orbs. Now farther away it might be harder to discern that or to keep it precise enough. But if you want to do that and just add that hint of shadow to the bottom around those, that might look neat. I'm going to try that on mine here. I'm just going to add a tiny bit of graphite. A lot of times if your tortillon or paper stump has graphite loaded onto it, you might not even need to do that right now, but I just want to make sure I get a discernible bit of shadow there. I want a little bit into the orb itself and then just that little bit underneath it, and I think that might give us a little greater sense of shape and dimension there. Okay, so here we have got our finished ribbon, at least in the simplified form that I decided to do it here. Gayle, how about you? What did you end up with?
Even simpler.
Okay, even simpler, that's
Yep.
okay. Nice. Just a nice little detail kind of flowing around your patterns there. I like how you just kept it simple. You did the same outside that I did, or the the embellishment on the edges, but just a simple enhanced double line there that shows the body or the form of that ribbon. Very nice.
Thank you.
Very nicely done. So here's side by side. Whoop, let's see if I can do that this way.
There you go.
There we go. So same idea, just executed completely differently. That's very fun.
That was fun.
All right. Well, with that, we will sign off today for day 7 of Inktober 25 Zentangle edition. And let me just say that if you have not completed your own composition up to this point, of course, the other videos will remain online in the channel. You can see those at any time and rewatch or go over that again. But that ends our day 7, and we will look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow for day 8 of our Inktober journey. Thanks very much. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.